Hello? Yeah. Okay, good. Hey, good evening, everyone. We have an awesome panel. Three agency heads and two marketers. And like Anisha said, we have more supply than demand, and that's where it is. So I would like to, it's an awesome topic. I think we're trying to kind of find a way in this new digital era, how the agency roles are changing. I think we had a little bit debate just outside about how the things are shaping. So my role today, I come from a digital background, and I think 70% of digital today is bought technologically. 70% of that is actually spent on acquisition marketing. And a lot of that is optimization, and a lot of that is not planned, but is more optimized using data on the technologies. And therefore, I'm wanting to kind of talk to each of them that is there a way that the agency's role should change, and the buyer, the creative, the traditional way of buying and the traditional way of creativity, does that need to change? The performance models need to change, the compensation models need to change, the KRAs need to change in this whole, and we'll be talking the scenarios right now. We'll be not talking in future. We'll be not talking, everything will go digital, and so we'll be talking scenarios right now. So, and I think everyone has a mic, and we'll be open to kind of debate wherever, whosoever can actually pick it up, and I'll try and moderate. So, Anisha, let me start with you. You spend a lot of money on digital, and you being insurance company, you spend money on acquisition marketing, you spend money on retention marketing. Do you think your agency can play a role simultaneously of an acquisition marketer and a retention marketer simultaneously? So, I think you should just switch it up.
Should it play a role? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it currently playing a role? I don't think so.
Okay.
The number of agencies that we deal with in the digital space,
right,
in the last 2 years is actually more than a dozen. And that itself tells you that not just for acquisition and retention do we have different agencies. Within acquisition,
yep,
we have different specialists. For driving lead generation, for display, for search, for retention, for loyalty, you have a CRM specific agency. I have a separate agency for website. I have a separate agency for now user journey experiences. How do we, that's the kind of specialization that's going in. How do I design my platforms? So Ashish, it is a very fragmented world out there.
So Ashish, here goes the question for you. You've been acquiring companies left, right, and center, and you've done a couple of acquisitions. What is your answer? Today when clients want acquisition, they don't want buying. How are you trying to kind of approach this?
I haven't been buying companies left, right, and center.
Okay, left and right. You've bought two, left and
right. There are a few gems that we spotted who've decided to join our group.
Okay.
I just want to, just lift off a bit from you. You're coming very much from a buying, acquisition, this kind of an angle. If you look back, I joined advertising 27 years ago. Believe it or not, in those days, my hair used to be black. And the model of the agencies used to be pretty much the same as it is today. So to answer your question that, do we need to reinvent the agency model? I do think we need to reinvent the agency model, not necessarily only the digital agency model. Because
but we will be very, very specific to digital right now.
Yeah, but don't act like Arnab. Let me finish.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously,
right.
Obviously, digital is driving that much faster than everything else, because like Anisha rightly said, it is specialization, super specialization, super specialization. But as a client, what do you want? You want all the benefits of the specialization and the super specializations. What you don't want is the hassles of siloization.
Sure.
Right? Those days are gone where the same account executive go and sell events and digital and PR and this and that. Today nobody can sell even one part of that. You need those super specialists, but you need one common person who's keeping an eye on your brand, right? That's what they're missing.
No, but let me stop you here. But the problem is that the specialist agencies who are, smaller agencies and may not be part of the house, may not be part of the big multinationals, are possibly today it may be hassled, but are more, I would say, are probably giving better results. And by the way,
which is why they're being acquired and being made a part of the groups. And it doesn't matter whether you're small or big, whether you're in left side or right side.
Sure.
Anybody who's going to provide a good solution to a client will do well. So what the agencies really have to see is that can they give all the benefits of these specializations, but can they take away the hassles of all these siloization?
Sure.
I think in short, that's the
okay. I'll try and play the Arnab role because that's the highest TRP and that's how you buy. But anyway, Mohit, traditional and digital, I mean, they don't talk to each other. And maybe a lot of clients have separate digital agencies, separate traditional agencies. You also, do you think that the traditional and digital should come together? Should the client, should the agency, and ideally, have you seen is there any example where your traditional plans and your digital plans are talking to each other?
I haven't seen too many, frankly.
Okay.
And I think I'll take off from where Anisha was talking about. We too, of course, probably deal with about a dozen agencies. And I think an example that I want to give you is, let's say you're talking about a product launch or a service launch or a campaign.
Yep.
And contractually or otherwise, you'll go to your traditional agency and say, okay, let's give me a creative idea. And of course, they will only come up with TV. Because nobody wants to do print and anything else. So they said, yeah, here's the TV idea. And of course, that works only on TV, right, and not on anything else. And therefore, as a client also, and we'll be a little secretive. I'll probably not tell my digital agency what the creative idea is. But I would expect them to be completely aligned to what my creative idea is.
Got it.
But so today, I think the real challenge is, and that's happening because you are, therefore, the traditional agency is not geared to, it does not even come to you, okay, yeah, here you asked us for a creative idea, here's the TV idea, oh yeah, and here is what we can do in digital. That doesn't happen.
But from a role standpoint, and Ajit, you are a traditional, you play the role of digital and traditional both as an agency. Is there a problem in the way you guys are getting, the agencies are getting compensated? And is there, and you could change the role of the agency in the way the clients are expecting you to do, but is it somehow linked to the compensation? Is it somehow linked to what the client wants to, is paying you for, and that's the only thing you can do in that model?
Yeah, you have touched upon the favorite topic of agencies on compensation,
right.
But I'll just let it pass because at the end of the day, the compensation models are linked to what market can afford.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because at the end of the day, there is always a demand and supply, right? And if clients truly value your product and what your offering is, they'll pay for it.
Okay.
Now, let me bring back...
But what about performance link?
Which is why I'm trying to...
And let you earn more, so that you can possibly give more.
Yeah. And I just want to bring back the conversation, what Ashish mentioned and what you mentioned in the start. I think terming agencies as traditional digital, right. I think a lot of people outside who looks at agencies has a limited view of what agencies are today doing. Okay. And I'm talking from the agency that I work for, and I've seen other agencies too, are constantly evolving in that space. Now, is the speed of evolution as futuristic and ahead of time as...
Are you moving as fast?
That may depend on a lot of where clients are putting the money, where the demand is, or is it about agencies should take the risk ahead of time and invest and fall and learn, and therefore bring the best practices ahead of time. That speed is a big question mark and is linked to your own ability to invest in technology, whether it's in programmatic, whether it's in command centers, social, whether it's any new field.
Right. So yeah, Anisha.
I think the biggest gap that is there is in the skill. Who is skilling both on client and agency side?
Okay.
Brand, conventional, they're the MBAs that we do in marketing.
Right.
We've learned how brands are built. Okay. What has happened with digital, it has come upon us too soon.
Right.
Okay. So there is no skilling and learning that is happening. People are learning experientially on the job.
So
there's a lot of
agencies need to play the training role with the client and train them.
Whether it's agencies or whether it's clients or whether it's the likes of NASSCOM and Google who've now attempting to do something like this.
Sure.
Because if it comes through skill and through knowledge, right, science will come into this thing. Currently, hit and trial is happening.
Right.
The science just happens to be, finally we are trying to see some ROI, some data, something to say, oh, by the way, the money that I put in, at least kuch to hua usko, because we finally all have to justify it.
And that is why the fragmentation of agencies as well.
Absolutely.
And which you want to control. Mandeep, do you want to talk about how, even we talked about house of brands. Anisha brought about a very, very important point, that even if she wants to work with a larger agency, she might want to work with, as a client, separate agencies within the large media setup, so that the client can actually hold things that somebody is holding his brand on the top. The proposition of a planner, that I feel that digital planning is missing in the agencies at this point of time. And it's more buying and a creative approach and very ad hoc approach.
Planning throughout the traditional formats is sort of eroding a little bit. Specifically to digital, as you rightly said, it's not really a planning exercise. It's that how you can bring in efficiencies. It started from a social, I got so much likes on your creative idea, and so many hits and so many opportunities to forward. Right. Therefore, yes, planning doesn't exist. And to add to the point, to what Anisha mentioned, that it's currently a very journalist stage for everyone who's trying to evolve from an agency stage. There are specialists in writing TV scripts, and there are specialists in creativity. And then you suddenly see a spaceship somewhere coming and saying, I am digital. Right. And suddenly the expectation rises from the client saying, I want one person who can think through all the ideas day zero, because there is some amount of learning for whether it's the brands or whether it's the specialists, which needs to be brought in. I don't think brands have the patience to, because they are all looking at the quarter numbers, to see whether this agency has the ability to bring in a strategist, a specialist who can think through an idea or solve a business problem. Then we end up going shopping for a digital agency, for a creative agency, for a media agency.
Yeah, and sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's an irony in which you keep mentioning about agencies as buying agency. Right. But it's also quite true that we are ending up buying. But I wanted to ask the market, who is paying for planning?
Right. That's exactly, and I therefore
is there anybody who is paying for planning today? Yeah. Is there anybody who is paying for creativity today?
Right.
Is there anybody who is paying for business results? Things can change.
Ashish, do you think that he brought in a very important point, that if paid well, we will deliver well, right? And do you think that performance-linked models, right, and that the marketer does not worry about how much are we earn, how much is the agency earning? There's too much of transparency, unfortunately, in the agency model, right? And if the marketer believes that, hey, you know what, you earn whatever you want to, I want this results and this is your compensation. Have you done any model like that, and would you think that model will help you to change?
You're the first person in the world who said that there's too much of transparency in the agency pricing. But even if you were to take that, I think agencies would love to be remunerated on performance. Many agencies have started working with brands which were, let's say, 100 crore sales brand, and today that brand has become 2,000 crores, but the agency may have been earning 1 crore overall, let's say as an example, but today may be earning 1.2 crores. So agencies would love it, but the moment the client realizes that you are making 10x, they are under pressure. It's not that the clients don't want to pay you. The clients' own businesses are under huge margin pressure, so they want to figure out and squeeze out as much as they can. So that's the business reality. Of course, what you're remunerated for is what you deliver. But the biggest thing I think you are missing out is you're seeing it from a very programmatic, buying, very narrow kind of a way.
Sure.
What the client actually pays the agency for is just two things. One is the idea on his or her brand, whichever, whether it is digital, and in digital it doesn't matter whether it's creative media or whatever. One is the idea for that. The other is the agency is the voice of the consumer. They bring to you what they think is right and will connect with the consumer in which way, whether it is this medium will connect or this idea will connect or this language will connect or whatever it is, right? That is what the key role of an agency has to be. Buying is just one part of it. What I hear is
that you are missing that. What I hear is that you, in digital, you guys are missing it.
And the reason for that is that this is probably the last generation you will see of advertising people or marketers who are non-digital natives. I first saw a computer when I was in MBA, right? My child saw it, started playing with it when they were 2 years old. So the next, nobody today has to teach anybody how does TV work. There's no, you don't say, why don't you educate people on television? Because we all grew up with it. The next generation, the same thing will be there with digital. So it's a cusp. We are passing through that phase.
Okay. Anisha, you had a point.
I was on the performance-based remuneration for agencies. Agencies have never taken that bait. I think companies want to. Very, very happy. I am today at 10 crores. I want to do 100 crores next year.
Ashish, you have an opportunity.
An agency that helps me is willing. You know, in hindsight, it's very easy to say they've become 2,000 crores. Right. But going in, I'm at 10. I want to become 100 next year. Right. Okay, you help me do that, and you get a 15% of that 100. Right. You know, if upfront there are commitments and people are willing to take up these challenges, I think companies will give it.
So I make you this offer here, Anisha, here and now. Your entire marketing communications business, I will take it on from where it is, link it with your growth. I will take no fees from you.
Fantastic.
And I commit on behalf of my entire agency group to you.
I am exactly on.
Give me 100% of your business and charge and responsibility.
You need an MD of the company.
Don't let your procurement
guys come into between and squeeze them.
You need an MD of the company to come and make that commitment. You know, but
I'm making it in a public forum to you.
Yes, exactly.
Now you put your money where your mouth is.
Ashish, that's the kind of empowerment that teams, we deal with your agencies. We deal with your agency, we deal with his agencies. That's the kind of empowerment, that's the kind of conversations that agencies and marketeers and clients need to have on both sides. But it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
True.
And clearly, I think one of the roles that agencies are today pushing, because to maximize, we know that agency businesses are under, P&L stresses. They want to make more money. But at the same point of time, there are a lot of under the carpet things that happen to kind of increase. And if these kind of communication or business dealing happen, they would not. And therefore, I want to come to the point of the trading desks. Today, agencies have created these trading desks to trade, I again bring back the most sexiest word today in digital, programmatic, data, etc., using data. I mean, maybe Ajit, do you have anything to comment about that? I mean, you're one of the largest trading desks as well in the world with WPP's access.
So you have moved from buying to trading, okay?
Exactly, yeah. No, that deal is closed.
I would call it audience buying.
Okay.
Okay, and so you are dealing with...
But is it really happening?
It is really happening. So there are places where you can actually study the data and understand the sub-segments in which you want to target, and then start buying in a way that you can have the lowest cost. And this trading models, we have, in our agency, we have opt-in for the client. Client should not buy it if it's not beneficial for them.
Ashish, do you think this will continue for long?
See, I think, first of all, you said that you agencies are opening trading desks. The reason we agencies are opening trading desks is because guys like you open programmatic shops and then are looting the clients. Yeah. So we decide that, why should, hang on. So we decide that why should only you be looting it? Why can't we be a part of that and try to protect our client and make some more money? I think that buying, trading of digital will get commoditized more and more as you go. The ridiculous kind of margins that all you guys make of 60%, 50% are going to be gone, right? Because it will be a transparent, like you said, whether you like it or not, a more and more transparent world. That's not where the big joy or the big kick is going to come from. It's going to come from big ideas, different ways of working.
Absolutely right.
And I would like to add, even the biggest vendors, Google has got trading desks, but in different names.
Correct. You're absolutely correct. But the agency's role to the client, and I want to come to the client, has been...
You know, we don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
I mean, 60% margins.
Exactly.
Oh my God. What
That's exactly the point.
Yeah, absolutely. But here, agency's role has always been to be transparent to the client. Shops like us can be non-transparent, but agency's role has been transparent. No, absolutely. You sign an AOR contract where you have to have transparency to the clients, and therefore you do not have the power to loot the client. And you don't have the power to be part of our loot. But anyway,
you have the power to loot the client, and we don't have the power to stop you from doing it.
I just want, I want the client to hear that.
As a client, you heard it first here. They have the power to loot the client, and we don't have it.
We don't have the power to stop.
Because that was the word opened by Ashish, actually.
You don't know what we are going to do next week. I'm just going to get into the bottom of which channel, what program, what margins,
Absolutely. And Anisha, this brings me to another point, and very, very important point, actually. Do you think, Mohit and Anisha, at some point of time, with this whole lot of fragmentation, and fragmentation of agencies, not fragmentation of buying, we believe that the buying fragmentation is actually reduced in digital from like 15 things to be bought to now only 3 or 4 to be bought. Do you think you will create these roles internally and take things in your control? Will you think you will have data under your control, buying under your control, maybe just creativity outside? Because creativity is a very, very important part of being an agency.
So from a banking perspective, I don't think so in the near future we'll take it internally.
A lot of banks in India probably are, of course they're dealing with agencies as well, but they do a lot of things under their control as well.
No, we do that. So
Okay.
even we do that, but if you say that, okay, I'm going to hire a team which is going to just do this,
Sure.
and dedicated to do this, the answer is no.
Okay.
And
So
not
you'll
even
keep
in the-
agencies in business.
Yeah, we will keep completely agencies in the business. And I just wanted to make a point on your earlier point on the whole buying thing.
Sure.
And I think where the whole buying largely is happening is the whole impression, CPL, all of that.
Yeah.
What the clients and let's say banking has moved to
Yep.
is the whole online acquisition.
Absolutely.
Okay? And therefore I'm not interested in a CPL or how many impressions you gave me and all of that. But what I'm really interested in is how do I bring down my online cost of acquisition. Okay, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that programmatically that is happening there.
Correct.
But what I'm not seeing are the clear sort of solutions from either the large agencies or the smaller agencies
Sure.
that are helping clients acquire online more efficiently and effectively.
Very, very valid point. And Mandeep, I'll Kanisha come. Yeah. So you want to just?
You know, on
yeah.
this whole thing of what will we do in-house,
Yeah.
Buying is very, very far away. I don't think clients have the domain expertise and they should not be investing their resources in this.
Okay.
But what's going to happen is a whole lot of other tools, because customer is interacting with you in real time. We are into financial services businesses. Sure. We are investing in tools that will allow us to interact and talk to the customer real time. I don't think we'll go to an agency to do that. Today there's a customer who wants to have a conversation with me. He is leaving a comment for me. Yep. He's telling me something. I'm going to equip and train my people in-house to first have the tools in-house, to be able to listen, to be able to this thing, and then be able to respond real time. Right. Because the minute we go to the customer via the agency, you know that there is a lag effect that's going to happen. So all those services will sit in-house with the clients. Okay. But when it comes to spending money and buying plans and buying this thing, that's the specialization that agencies have always had, and I think they will continue to have it.
This was more because of from an acquisition standpoint. I'll just take Mandeep's point and I'll come back to you, Ajit. But Mandeep, my question to you would be that today, we have marketers here from financial services, but there are bigger marketers sitting in e-commerce companies, startups who are probably spending almost equal or large amount of digital money, but they keep control because they think that acquisition marketing is real time. And they think that there is a gap when it comes through an agency. And they need immediate flow. And because of all those things, it needs to stay inside. And everything, so do you have an opinion on that?
So there used to be a model where all brands used to have a creative agency in-house at one point of time. I remember I just about gotten into advertising that time.
Yeah.
And the problem at that time was that it was getting restrictive and creativity was not flowing out of the in-house departments.
Okay.
And they were getting very transactional. My fear is that, of course, you'll want to hold the data to yourself because of the certain threats that exist. But the creativity will always be nurtured in a multi-branded environment. And that's the primary role why I think creative agencies or agencies are technically hired, right? Now that I've got the mic from Arnab and I'm the last box guy who rarely gets a chance, I want to pick up one small anecdote. I put my money where my mouth is and I went for a pitch and told the client that, you spend around 800 bucks on an acquisition for a client. Give me 170 rupees and I'll not charge you a commission.
Awesome. Yeah.
And they had margins. So in acquisition cost, they had margins. They just held the pitch there for a while. All of them went into the room next door. Insane. And they did their maths and they said, no, but on a commission model, you will make less. Therefore, we will stick to the commission model. So if I'm putting my mouth where my money is, I don't think all the brands in today's time are also ready. Traditionally, we Indians want to know uske ghar mein kya ho raha hai.
Yeah, but I would say that this thought process is changing when it is coming to online acquisition, and because I'm talking about agency roles in general and not just to traditional brands. When it is coming to a lot of online acquisition models, this thought process is changing. The client is saying, hey, you pay me the CPA, it's fine, that's fine. You earn whatever you want to. Whether you're looting, not looting, doesn't matter. My business model runs on this CPA. And yeah,
that's probably because these are evolving KPIs for the brand teams as well.
Sure.
Maybe 2 years or a year down the line, when the education levels go up with the procurement departments also, every dime is going to be questioned.
But Manish, you're absolutely right. The e-commerce businesses, the end-to-end e-commerce businesses, ours are brick and mortar businesses also getting into e-commerce space. But the end-to-end e-commerce, the Snapdeals, the Flipkarts, the Make My Trips, will want to keep all these competencies in-house, because for them, that's the sales team. That's for them, that's like the equivalent of having an in-house sales department.
Completely agree. And, one of the last few points is on data. Again, this is being talked about a lot, but, with the new technologies, you can now use data for a lot of planning. You can not just optimization, but a lot of planning. And this has become a very meaningful thing from a marketer standpoint and from an agency standpoint. And I want to ask you a question here, Ashish. It requires data is not just Excel and analytics. I mean, it requires real data scientists to kind of use, even from a financial services standpoint, to use data scientists and give back to the client in terms of what is the right things to do, right plannings to do, right hearability to do. Do you think that is that the kind of role which agency wants to play or is playing?
I don't think any agency is really playing that role well, because data it's a animal by itself which needs a huge amount of investment, specialization, and while all agencies are in some manner doing it, everybody has their own analytics department and so on, but there are specialist companies who are probably doing it much better. Typically, the data that agencies are best with are consumer-related data, right? So that's what we are most familiar with. The new thing that we are, I think, grappling with, particularly in this m-commerce, e-commerce era, is the data which is that much more linked with real-time purchase, real-time action, and so on. That's definitely an area I see as a general area of weakness in most agencies.
Ajit?
Yeah, in fact, I'm combining what Ashish is saying and what Anisha said about the whole customer management and what you keep in-house. In fact, to bridge this gap, I'm just using this as first time saying it. Now, as our agency, we are trying to launch a command center, which can not only combine all the third-party data, social data, competition data, buzz, website analytics, and bring it down to clients on a dashboard level or real time on a screen, convert that into audience segmentation, content publishing, ability to do CRM query management. We are launching it in the next month to bridge this gap between, group companies and divisions and stuff like that.
Sure.
Finally, client wants it on their screen and to make decisions. We are launching that in the next month, to ability to combine all this, and we are calling it as mesh, bringing all of it together. In fact, we did it 2 years back for Nestle in India. It's one of the first of its kind in the Nestle world. We call it DAT.
Right.
I mean, if you see, it's all real-time data, buzz, your campaign tracking, tag data, and now we are actually going to do CRM for them. So it's your ability to manage that. It's something that we are building, but I agree, the speed in which we do depends on the investments that we can make ahead of time.
Okay.
I just want to add a point to that from a financial services perspective. Of course, so the way we see data, the two sets of data, one, of course, is the internal transactional data, and which is humongous, and there is in all probability that data will never go out, and there is a whole lot of stuff that we do on that from a probability modeling or a propensity or the next best buy kind of a modeling, and which brands would continue to do and probably would continue to do internally. But what we would want the agencies to help is really the social, the digital part of the data, which is not non-transactional. Okay, so I think I would keep those two sets very, very separate, because the first set is very, very close to us, and we would continue to work on that. But I think the more social and digital, which is non-transactional, what are the insights and what is that I can do on those is what I think the agencies can really work on. Right.
And Mandeep and Anisha, my final comments on, is the life of AOR, is it still, in this whole things that we have discussed so far, I mean, is there still the concept of still giving an AOR to like one big agency, very big and small doesn't matter, but one agency, and saying, you know what, hey, take away all my digital stuff and do everything. Or a client should actually go and say, you know what, here's a social AOR, here's a programmatic AOR, here's a a performance AOR, here is a retention marketing AOR. Is that, or you still think that AOR should be the right way to move?
So in the digital space, there are AORs being done specific to social, or all the particular verticals are seeing AORs as of today.
Right.
But it's more moving towards an ideas AOR, if you ask me.
Okay.
If your idea is strong, the marketplace is so open, anyone, whether he or she has an AOR or not, reaches out to a client, and if the legal teams of client and the agency are strong enough, the client will say, please come through that agency and execute. I think the ideas AOR is becoming far more important than... No?
And I want to, Anisha, before you comment, I want to create a hypothetical situation, right? The world is becoming, and technology is making so much disruption. The agency business per se is still running in the similar way, and we're talking about role changing. Think about, there are thousands of people, lakhs of people who can give better ideas than the few people in the agency. Is there a way you would like to kind of also disrupt the way ideas come to you and make it open to a marketplace? Maybe there's a better creative guy sitting in Ahmedabad who is not working with your agencies. So just maybe club those comments, and why don't you give those comments?
No, the reason why I don't...
You might want to just...
The reason why I don't agree with this whole ideas business in digital, because exactly like you said, today idea is with every consumer you interact with. He'll give you 10 ideas. I have to come, like I said, 100 crore backwards. I'm at 10 crores, I want 100 crores. Understand my business problem. Okay? Understand my brand proposition. I want to stand for an honest insurance company. I want to achieve 100 crores. I want to stand for an honest insurance company. Now give me a plan, whether it is buying, whether it is idea, whether it's proposition, that's how I want to begin.
Yeah.
But the whole conventional way of agencies, which used to be earlier, and I come from that industry.
Right.
You have a good idea, you have a good creative, business is an outcome. Okay,
right.
Customers will walk in. Today, that's not happening. The whole definition of creativity has changed.
Absolutely.
There is no one big creative coming. Every tweet is a creative for me.
Correct. Absolutely.
Every post is a creative for me. It's happening real time, and the multiple creatives being churned out. So that's why I think the creation is also multiplying. So fragmentation is happening because it's so easy to create 10 tweets, 10 Facebook posts, one banner advertisement, one something like this. And what's happening is that who's holding the brand? Who's holding the business objective? Yeah. That is where I think the real gap is happening. And I keep saying the role of a strategist or the role of an anchor becomes very important, who comes business backwards.
Completely agree. And I think agencies, Ashish, you have a comment to make, but I think in this whole sharing economy, when Airbnb is actually becoming bigger than the largest hotel brand in the world, or Uber is disrupting the taxi business, in my opinion, I think you should help, agencies should help their clients kind of disrupt their idea generation. Like Anisha very rightly said, that every tweet is an idea, and maybe can you pick insights out of this and go back to the clients after taking ideas, not just from the creative team the agency has, but the creative world which is sitting out there. And I think...
I'll just make a quick comment before, and I think somewhere digital lets you do that.
Yeah.
Because, and probably the whole traditional media, and we'll make a TV, and what happens to it, and how you drive sales, and who walks in, I have no control.
Correct.
Okay? But yeah, somewhere I think digital is the other end of the spectrum. Here, you are in control.
Consumers are in control. I mean, your consumers are in control.
And you have and you can correct it on the go.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I think somewhere between the two, if in the traditional era agencies couldn't do that, and they had very good reasons not to do that, but I think now with the whole technology and digital, and the fact that I on the go, on the button, every hour, every second, I know what is working, what is not working. I think they can do a much better role in driving the whole performance culture.
Thank you very much. I think I want to make some closing remarks about the things that we've discussed, which are the areas where possibly agencies should possibly reconsider their role with the clients. One, of course, the client and the agency, both in this way, needs to see that can their models be more performance related, not very, very transparent, and therefore giving them a lot of area to possibly employ great people because it's a people's business, and probably go back to the clients with much more strategic thinking, much more planning thinking. Agencies should actually play a lot more data role and give clients insights. I mean, not just, not just use data to optimize, but use these data to kind of give insights for clients, better products, better planning, etc. They need to train and evolve together, but they need to continuously train their clients in terms of what is happening new, what is, so that there are no gaps missed, the client is as evolved as the medium is. Very important point of someone holding on the top, someone holding the whole, even if they are dealing with like 12 agencies or various vendors, somebody holds it on the top, whether through a strategist or a planner, which is probably a role that is really, really missing. And I think so that no one can loot the client, there should be a lot of transparency even in what the agency or the small shops are buying. But thank you very, very much. I mean, they're all available for question and answer. I think we will use that time to kind of, they're all available. You can ask them question one-on-one rather than, just opening it up. I think that would be better. But thank you very, very much for this, for the time. Thank you.